Hey guys, welcome to my channel, or welcome back. On today's project we're going to be working on these cute little Oogie Boogies. So for this project you're going to need some worsted weight yarn in tan or green. I've made him in green. He comes out cute too. Very small amount of black yarn. For the detail work I used crochet thread, but you can also use your worsted weight yarn and just like split the yarn to 2 strands, so you have like just like a finer, thinner line going around. I also use 16mm eyes, a 4.25 millimeter crochet hook, and yeah, some fiber fill, also stitch markers and pins to help you sew things in place. So yeah, let's get started. So to start out our project, we're gonna start with the tip of the head, and you can start with a magic ring, or like me, I like to start with a chain 2 and work on that first chain. And you're going to do 4 single crochets on your preferred starting method. So I like to pull my tail to be on the outside of the work. I just find it this way, that as I'm working on it and I'm pulling on it, I get a sharper tip. It's just what I like to do. You don't have to do this. But for round number 2, we're just simply going to single crochet all the way around. I do recommend at this point for you to start using a stitch marker. Obviously I am crazy and I didn't use one, but I definitely would, just to help you keep track of your stitches. At this point I pulled on the tail, so I have a really nice tip. And then for round number 3, we're going to single crochet increase on that very first stitch. A single crochet on the next stitch, and then we're going to repeat that process. Do a single crochet increase and a single crochet on that very last stitch. For round 4, we're going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around. For round number 5, we're going to single crochet increase on that first stitch, and then single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And then you're going to repeat that process one more time. So a single crochet increase, and then a single crochet in the last 2 stitches. For round number 6, you're simply going to single crochet all the way around. For round number 7, you're going to do a single crochet increase on that first stitch, and a single crochet on the next stitch. And you're going to repeat that 3 more times. For round number 8, we're going to single crochet increase on that first stitch, and then do a single crochet on the next stitch. And we're going to repeat that for 5 more times for a total of 18 stitches. What I saw right in front of me, and every time I'm so damn lost to what I loved and what I lost, but let's get lost in love. For round number 9, we're going to do a single crochet increase on that first stitch, and a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And you're going to repeat that sequence 5 more times for a total of 24 stitches.
Let's run away together. Let's run away together. Let's run away together.
And we're just going to go ahead and cut out about a 6-inch tail. You do not need to join to the first stitch, but do a chain and pull through to secure that tip. So yeah, let's get started on the head.
Let's run away together. Let's run away.
For round number 1, you can start with a magic ring or a chain 2. I prefer the chain 2 method, and do 8 single crochets.
Lullabies with something that I thought I'd never find. And what is right and what is wrong, and all I ever saw was love. But let's get lost in love tonight. Hear a second voice inside my head, it's telling me to say the night again, and hold on to the words we always said would be forever, forever. Wait another day to clear my thoughts, so jump into.
For round number 2, you're going to do a single crochet increase all the way around for a total of 16 stitches.
Let's run away together. Let's run away together.
For round number 3, you're going to do a single crochet increase and a single crochet on the next stitch all the way around. You're going to repeat that 7 more times for a total of 24 stitches. Round number 4. To start out round number 4, we're going to do a single crochet in the first 2 stitches. And look at me. Look at Crocheting Sonia picking up her stitch marker. Voiceover Sonia and Crochet Sonia are 2 different people, by the way. Use a stitch marker from the beginning. So we're going to start out our sequence. We're going to start out with a single crochet increase in the next 2 stitches. And there's my second increase. And then single crochet in the next 4 stitches. And you're going to repeat this 2 more times.
So you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I'll fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay. Wanna go.
To finish off round number 4, you're going to do a single crochet increase on the next 2 stitches. And a single crochet on the last 2 stitches.
Coming for the throne.
Alright, let's start round number 5 with a single crochet in the first 3 stitches. So there we go, 1, 2, and 3. And now we're gonna start our sequence. Yep, mark your first stitch. I like marking my first stitch. It's really up to you how you prefer to do it. But so we're gonna start our sequence. It's similar to the previous one. We're gonna do a single crochet increase on the next 2 stitches, and then a single crochet on the next 6 stitches, and you're gonna repeat the sequence 2 more times.
take it all. I'll take it all. The storm is coming, so you better start running. Though you can't control, feel it in our bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the. Coming for the throne.
So to finish off round number 5, we're going to do a single crochet increase in the next 2 stitches. And then a single crochet in the last 3 stitches for a total of 40 stitches. So now we're going to grab the tip that we worked on earlier today and we're going to attach it to the head. So let me zoom in here real quick. And so what we're doing is we're joining 10 stitches of the tip of the head to 10 stitches of the head. 10 stitches of the tip. So I'm putting pretty side to pretty side together, as you can see. I hope this is a good visual of how you're supposed to hold your work. It's gonna look and feel funky for a little bit, but believe me, it works. So what you're going through is inserting your hook on any stitch of the tip and to the end through the first stitch of the head. And now you're going to repeat that process through the next 9 stitches. So insert your hook on the next stitch of the tip and the next stitch of the head and single crochet them together for a total of 10 stitches. So you should have worked through the first 10 stitches, and now for the rest of round 6 you're just going to single crochet in the last 30 stitches that are left over on the head. For rounds 7, 8, and 9, so for the next 3 rounds, you're simply going to single crochet all the way around. For round number 10, we're going to finish attaching the tip to the head. In order to do this, we're going to skip the next 2 stitches from the tip, and we're going to attach that 3rd stitch to the first stitch of the head. So skip the first 2, attach our hook to that 3rd one and through the first stitch of the head, and we're gonna single crochet both of them together. So now grab your stitch marker to mark that first stitch. And now we're going to repeat that through the next 9 stitches, through both the tip and the head. you reach the tail of your tip, make sure that it's tucked in inside of the tip and not of the hat. We do need this tail for later to smooth out the transition between the tip and the head, because we skipped 2 stitches on either side of the tip. So be very careful and mindful of how you're crocheting around that tip. We don't want it on the inside of the head, but we do want it between the tip and the head.
We're down with the sinking.
So I single crocheted through the first 10 stitches of the head and 10 stitches of the tip. As you can see, I have the tail hanging and I have 2 stitches skipped on both sides of the tip. So those are the ones that we're going to use the tail for later on. But for the rest of round 10, we're simply going to single crochet on the last 30 stitches.
It feels like every part of me is dying. Yeah, you're gone without a trace. You left me where no one can find me. There's no sign of life out here. I scream and it goes silent. I fight so hard, but I can't find my way out. Lost all dimension and time.
So for round 11 through 18, we're simply going to single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you right back. For round number 19, we're going to single crochet in the first 3 stitches. Mark your first stitch. And now we're going to start our sequence. We're going to single crochet decrease twice. So here's my first one, and there's my second one, and now we're going to single crochet in the next 6 stitches, and you're going to repeat the sequence 2 more times.
Trace, you left me where no one can find me. There's no sign of life out here. I scream and it goes silent. I fight so hard, but I can't find my way out. Lost all dimension and time. I don't think I'm losing my mind in this ghost
To finish off round number 19, we're going to single crochet decrease twice. So here's my first decrease and my second decrease, and single crochet in the last 3 stitches. For round 20, we're going to single crochet in the first 2 stitches. Mark our first stitch. And now we're going to start our sequence, and we're going to single crochet decrease twice. So here's my first single crochet decrease and my second single crochet decrease, and I'm going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches, and you're going to repeat the sequence 2 more times.
We could find a way. We could find a way. Find another place where we can just escape. We could find a way.
To finish off round 20, we're going to do a single crochet decrease twice. So here's my first one and my second one, and I'm going to single crochet in the last 2 stitches. And before we continue, we're going to put our handy crochet hook down and we're going to be placing the eyes. I love using safety pins. Are these safety pins or sewing pins? Sorry, I like using sewing pins to kind of help me visualize. But with our marked stitch, we're going to count 17 stitches. So that's going to be our center of the front. And now we're going to go up 9 rounds. So I'm going to put my pin down and I'm going to grab a second pin. I'm just double checking over here, make sure that I went 9 rounds up. And now I'm going to count 4 stitches in each direction of that middle stitch. So at this point, I just like to make sure that my pins look right, that they look even, that they're 8 stitches apart, and then they're fairly centered with the front of the face. You just have to make sure that the tip is on the back of your head. If you are left-handed, the tip will be on your left, but if you're right-handed, the tip might be on the right side of the head. But that should really, at this point, be the only difference between left-handed and right-handed people. And once I'm confident with the placement of the eyes, I'm just going to go ahead and insert the 16mm safety eyes.
Clouds are stirring up the sky. I was always in denial of what I saw right in front of me. And every time I'm so damn lost to what I love.
For round number 21, I'm going to single crochet on the next stitch. Mark my first stitch. And then do a single crochet decrease. You're going to repeat this sequence all the way around and you should have 16 stitches at the end.
That won't be forgotten forever, forever. Let's run away together. Let's run away together. Let's run away together.
At this point, since we're shrinking the hole, I like to stuff my head about 75% of the way. So for round number 2, we're just going to single crochet all the way around and we should have 8 stitches at the end. I'm sorry, obviously I forgot a parenthesis there on my title.
Swear we never say goodbye. Fall asleep to lullabies with something that I thought I'd never find. And what is right and what is wrong and all I ever.
For round number 23, we're going to single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So now we're going to start the body of our Oogie Boogie, and for round number 24 we're simply going to single crochet increase all the way around for a total of 16 single crochets. For round number 25, we're going to do a single crochet increase and a single crochet on the next stitch all the way around for a total of 24 stitches.
So you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability.
For round number 26, we're going to do a single crochet increase and single crochet on the next 2 stitches all the way around for a total of 32 stitches.
So you better start running. No, you can't control, feel it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the. Coming for the throne.
At this point, I'm going to take a slight break to finish stuffing the head. The way that I like it is if I push on the head a little bit, I get a little bit of a bounce back. I don't want my head to stay sunken in. That means it's a little bit understuffed, but if it's really hard to push down, that may mean that it's overstuffed. So I like it in between where I get like a really nice bounce back when I'm squeezing the head.
It's your mistake.
So now we're gonna continue, and on this round we're gonna work on the armholes, and in order to do that we're going to skip the first 8 stitches. On that 9th stitch we're going to do a single crochet, and then we're gonna single crochet on the next 7 stitches.
Coming for the throne.
So now I'm going to go ahead and skip the next 8 stitches to create the second armhole, and I'm going to single crochet on the last 8 stitches.
Should I take it or leave it out? It got me thinking now, and I'm stuck in this loop again. It got me thinking now, should I take it or leave it out? What would happen if I talk to you? Got a feeling that I get a clue.
For round number 28, I'm going to do a single crochet increase and a single crochet on the next 3 stitches all the way around for a total of 20 stitches. For round number 29, I'm going to do a single crochet increase and a single crochet on the next 4 stitches, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. For round number 30, I'm going to do a single crochet increase and a single crochet on the next 3 stitches, and I'm going to repeat that all the way around for a total of 30 stitches. For round number 31 and 32, I'm simply going to single crochet all the way around. So after our repeats for round 33, we're going to start out with a single crochet in the first 3 stitches. So there is 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to place my stitch marker on that first stitch. Now I'm going to decrease twice. So there's my first decrease and my second decrease. And now I'm going to single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then decrease twice. Now I'm going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2, and 3, and now single crochet decrease twice. Making me trust your love. You always have your poker face, don't you, babe? You always play it so. And now we're gonna single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And to finish off this round, we're going to single crochet decrease twice. And you should have a total of 22 stitches. For round number 34, you're simply going to single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 22 stitches.
Something about you feels so different. Yeah, you mess me up inside.
To start out round number 35, we're going to do a single crochet decrease and then a single crochet on the next stitch, and you're gonna do that sequence for a total of 7 times.
You left me where no one can find me. There's no sign of life out here. I scream and it goes silent. I fight so hard.
To finish off round number 35, you should have one stitch left, and you're simply going to do a single crochet to that last stitch, and you should have a total of 15 stitches. And at this point you want to grab some extra stuffing, and we're gonna finish stuffing your Oogie body.
Every message that I send you, you just leave them all unread.
For round number 36, we're going to start out by doing a single crochet decrease and a single crochet on the next stitch all the way around. So that sequence is going to repeat for a total of 5 times, and you should have 10 stitches at the end of this round.
There's no sign of life out here. I scream and it goes silent. I fight so hard, but I can't find my way out. Lost all dimension and time. I don't think I'm losing my mind. And this goes
And to finish off your doll, you're simply going to fasten off and finish stuffing your Oogie to your desired amount, I guess. And now you're gonna grab your needle, and we're just gonna weave in our needle in and out through those last 10 stitches and close off the hole, and then weave in your end.
I've been trying to fight the demons in my mind. I'll prevail with every battle if I'm right. Guess my aim was off, the target's out of sight.
So now we're gonna start out the arms, and this is probably the only place that the instructions are gonna slightly deviate for left-handed and right-handed people, except for the tip. For right-handed people, your tip's gonna be on the right side. But I'm gonna start on my left arm, and if you are right-handed, you want to start on your right arm. The stitch counts are going to be the same. We're just simply working on opposite arms. So as you're looking at the doll, I'm gonna work on the left side. So if you're right-handed, just turn your doll the opposite direction so your eyes are towards the right. But let's look at the arm construction. We skipped 8 stitches, and as you can see, those are the 8 stitches that we skipped. And then in the armpit area, those technically are stitches that we used on that round, right? So you can see technically you'll see that there will be some holes there, and those are the holes that we're gonna work into just to kind of close off the arm. So the way that it's working is we're gonna work on 6 stitches, but then the 1 stitch on the end and technically 1 stitch at the beginning, those are going to be decreases that we make with those used loops from the previous round. So I'm attaching my hook to the second, if you look at it, to the stitch above the armpit, if that makes sense. You're gonna chain, pull up a loop and then chain 1, and then we're going to do a single crochet, and that's the second, I want to say second to last before in the armpit holes, right? Tuck in my tail, and now I'm going to do a single crochet decrease with that last stitch before the armpits and that loop on the arm that you see right there. And that's, I'm creating a decrease, and now I'm going to create another decrease with that next loop on the armpit area and the first available stitch of the 8 that we skipped. You can see that's the one right there, and I'm creating a decrease there. Now, if you didn't want to do the decrease and you simply worked on the 8 stitches that we worked prior, all that's going to do is you're going to have a big hole that you may have to sew closed later. But anyway, now so I did my single crochet, decrease and decrease, and now I'm going to single crochet in the last 5 stitches that are available. Just remember that if you're right-handed, you are working the opposite direction from what you can see on the screen, but the stitch count is the same. You attach your hook to the second to last stitch, work a single crochet, work a decrease with the last stitch on the arm and the loop on the armpit, do another decrease with a loop in the armpit and the next available stitch, and then single crochet in your last 5. That's all it is. You're just working the opposite direction, but the stitch counts are the same. For round number 2 of the arm, we're going to do a single crochet, decrease, and then a single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and you're going to do that 2 times for a total of 6 stitches.
Clouds are stirring up the sky. I was always in denial of what I saw right in front of me. And every time I'm so damn lost to what I loved and what I lost. But let's get lost in love tonight. Hear a second voice inside my head. It's telling me to say tonight again. And hold on to the words we always said would be forever, forever. Wait another day to clear my thoughts. So jump into a love that won't be forgotten. Forever, forever. Let's run away together.
For the last 2 rows, we're gonna flatten the arm. So for row number 3, we're gonna work the front and the back of the arm together. So we're gonna use the first stitch and single crochet it together with the 5th stitch, and then we're gonna grab our 2nd stitch and single crochet it together with the 4th stitch. So technically we're skipping the 3rd and the 6th stitch. We're gonna leave those on work, and at the end of row 3 you're going to have 2 stitches.
Swear we'd never say goodbye. Fall asleep to lullabies with something that I thought I'd never find. And what is right and what is wrong, and all I ever saw was love. But let's get lost in love tonight. Hear a second voice inside my head. It's telling me to say that.
Now I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and I'm simply going to single crochet, decrease through those last 2 stitches that we have left, and then fast enough.
Forever, let's run away together. Let's run away together.
Now before we get started on our 2nd arm, we're simply going to grab some polyfill and our handy dandy stick, and we're going to slightly fill up that first arm that we worked on, just like slightly push in a little bit of stuffing there so it just puffs up a little bit, not too much, and then finish stuffing the body. If you need to, finish reinforcing the neck if you feel like it's maybe a little wobbly. So kind of really finish stuffing that whole area to how you like it. You want to leave a little bit of a hole right now, so just so you're not single crocheting over your stuffing and then that stuffing getting stuck there. But let's get started on our next arm. So if you are left-handed, you're going to work on the right arm. If you're right-handed, you're going to be working on the left arm. Just like before, the stitch counts are worked the same way. If you're just right-handed, you're working the opposite direction, but the stitch counts are the same. So just like before, we're going to attach our hook to that second to last stitch before in the armpit holes, and this time we're just going to go through the top first. So we're going to do a single crochet in the next 6 stitches. So right here we're going to do 1, and 2, and Sonia annoyingly counting 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Okay, that's I'm not ever doing that again. All right, so now you should have 1 stitch left on the arm, and that's the one you're going to use to do a decrease with the loop on the armpit. So single crochet decrease through that last available stitch on the side with a stitch on the armpit. I like calling it armpits, but I'm sorry if the word armpit grosses you out. And now the next available loop on the armpit with the last available stitch on the opposite side of the arm.
I'm insane, it's your mistake. Kingdoms rise and fall, I've come to take it all. I'll take it, I've come to take it. Kingdoms rise and fall, I've come to take it.
Round number 2 is worked exactly the same like the other arm. We're going to do a single crochet decrease and a single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then you want to repeat that sequence 1 more time for a total of 6 stitches.
Coming for the throne.
And right before we get started with row number 3 and close up our arm, we're going to attach a little bit of fiber fill to finish stuffing this arm. Just a little bit, push it in there. So for now, row number 3 is when we're gonna hold it flat. We're gonna work the 1st and the 5th stitch together, and we're gonna single crochet through the 2nd and the 4th stitch together, and we're gonna skip the 3rd and the 6th stitch. And now we're going to chain 1 and then do a single crochet decrease in the last 2 stitches, and then fast enough. And now we're done with our tiny arms. So let's get started on the tiny feet. You're gonna make 2 of these pieces, but I'm only going to record 1. So to get started, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to do a single crochet on the 2nd back bump from your hook, or your 2nd chain from your hook, whichever one you're more comfortable with. I think for this specific project is not that important, so whatever you're comfortable with. And then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now we're going to do a single crochet increase on that 1 stitch that we just made. And then we're going to chain 1 and turn. Now this is where we're gonna go from a row to a round. To do that, we're gonna single crochet in each of the front loops only. And this section may feel a little bit awkward, but we're working around row 2 to create a round. So we're working on the 2 front loops, turning our work, and now do a single crochet in each one of the back loops. So there's our first single crochet on the back loop, and then our second single crochet on that second back loop, and now that gives us a round. So we're gonna start off round number 4. There's no joining or anything. We're gonna work in continuous rounds. So you're gonna work single crochet in the first 2 stitches, and then a single crochet increase on the last 2 stitches. And now we're going to start round number 5, and we're going to do a single crochet in the first 2 stitches. So 1 and 2, and then we're going to do a half double crochet increase, and then a half double crochet, and then we're going to repeat that sequence one more time. So a half double crochet increase on the next stitch, and a half double crochet on that very last stitch. And now technically we're going past our round. We're going to do just an extra half double crochet, and this is just to kind of even out the leg a little bit more, and then we're going to join to technically the second stitch of the round. And yep, you want to leave a little bit of a tail so we can attach it to the body. I usually like to go around my work twice, or I mean technically 1.5 times, and that usually gives me enough yarn to go all the way around. Right now we have our tiny feet and our doll, and we are going to attach the feet to our Oogie. So grab your safety pins, and you're gonna notice when you're looking at your leg that you have a flat part and one that kind of fans out up a bit. So the way that we're going to attach this is you're gonna look at your doll from the side right here, and we want to attach the flat part, or line up the flat part of the feet to the flat part of the doll, and then when we're looking at it forward, it's going to be straight down even with our eye. And then you're going to pin it in place, and then we are going to grab our second foot and then kind of repeat that process where we want to line up the flat part of the feet with the flat part of the bottom of the doll, and kind of line it up with the front, the eye, and then pin that one in place. And then, you know, the reason that we pin everything is so when you're looking at it, you're happy with where it is. This is just where I put it. If you want to spread the legs out a little bit more, or, you know, put them closer together, you definitely can. It's up to you. This is just how I do them. So I'm just double checking here that it's exactly where I want it to be, and that's the beauty of using safety pins before sewing anything on. So if you see here, I'm playing a little bit with it, and then we're just gonna attach it, each feet all the way around, and then weave in your ends. I don't know if I weaved in my ends or if I waited till the very end. Nope. Oh, look at me. I weaved it in right away. Can't say I did that with my other ends. Like, I feel like I should learn to just take care of my ends as they go. I mean, if you're still watching or if you're making this though, comment down below. Do you weave in your tails as you go or do you wait till the end? So like, yeah, look at all those tails.
I'm losing my mind, yeah. I'm losing my mind.
Look at me weaving in my tails. I'm so proud of myself. Do you like my little aid? My yarn. It's not a yarn threader. I think it's a thread threader, but sometimes when I have a hard time putting in my yarn through, I use one of those handy tools. Yeah, I don't know why I'm still talking. You guys could just be listening to music, but no, here I am talking my mouth out. I should learn to better use English words.
I'll prevail with every battle if I'm right. Guess my aim was off, the target's out of sight. Would I be better if I left it all behind? 'Cause we could find a way, we could find a way.
Okay, here I am just going to weave in the tip of the head, the tail on the tip of the head, and using that fancy tool. Everybody should get those. But I'm just gonna weave it in as well, and sometimes we have a hard time pulling that needle through, so I just use like tiny pliers to help me out. I know technically these aren't pliers, these are for like jewelry making. But anyway, we have that long tail from the tip of the head that we used up. This is a, I don't think you kind of have to do this step, but I'm gonna use this tail to just kind of smooth out those two unworked stitches on the sides of the tip. I'm just gonna whip stitch them to the head, and that kind of blends it in a little bit better than if you just had those stitches there. So this is why we kind of left a long tail and why it was important to leave that tail out on the side. So I'm just going in and whip stitching those stitches. I did the two that are not worked and then the ones that are right next to them, just kind of smooth out the difference there. And then I'm just bringing in the tail to the other side and then repeating the same process with those stitches on the opposite side. Okay, so we're gonna start the mouth, and to start the mouth we're simply gonna grab our black yarn and chain 10. If you've never worked on the bark bump, let me show you here. From the front, you're just going to see your regular stitches, and if you turn your work, there are going to be some black bumps. You can't see it with the black yarn very well, so here is with the tan, you have the regular stitches, but on the back side, you'll see there's these little bumps that are in between the chains, and those are the ones that we're going to want to work on. Highly recommend to use the back bumps because when we come back and do the edging with the tan, it's just going to look better than if you just use the chain. So to start out, we're going to do a slit stitch on that very first back bump. I know this is going to feel a little bit weird because you're like kind of bending your hook kind of weird to get into that first back bump, but this is just going to give it a little bit slightly of a sharper tip. So slit stitch on the first back bump, slit stitch on the second back bump. Now we're gonna single crochet in the next 2 back bumps. My yarn kept splitting here. Not fun, but and my second single stitch, and now you're gonna do a half double crochet increase on the next 2 back bumps. So there's my first increase, and then my second increase on that next back bump, half double crochet increase on that next back bump, and now we're gonna repeat it on the opposite side. So 2 single crochets in the next 2 back bumps and 2 slit stitches on the last 2 back bumps.
Swear we'd never say goodbye. Fall asleep to lullabies with something that I thought I'd never find.
And now we're gonna fasten off. You don't need long tails for this one, and now you got a smile. So now we're gonna grab our main color, which is our tan or cream or beige, or you know, that shade of yarn, and we are going to attach it. So now you can really attach it to any part of the mouth that you would like to, because it doesn't really matter. I like to attach it so I'm working through the bottom, or technically that would be the top of the row that we just worked at, but if you're looking at your smile, it'd be the bottom. And I'm not gonna attach it on the first stitch in the corner, but I'm gonna attach it to the second stitch of the corner. I know here I'm having a little bit of difficulty with the camera focusing in on the black yarn. I swear, black yarn just does not like to be videotaped. So I'm attaching it to the front loop, chaining 1 and then slit stitching all this in every single stitch, all front loop all the way around. When I get to the corner on that very last stitch, I'm going to work that last stitch, and then I'm going to chain 3 and then do a picot stitch. Now I know usually on the picot stitch you chain and then you slit stitch to the first chain. I don't like doing that. I'm actually going to slit stitch on that last slit stitch that I worked with. I feel like that gives you a little bit of a smoother transition and a less holy picot. So after you work your picot, you're simply going to work again on those front loops of the beginning chain. So we worked on the back bump, remember, which means that that left us the V for the that left us the V, so we're going to work on the front loops there. I know working on the opposite side of the chain sometimes is a little bit tricky, but just take your time. And so we're going to do the same process when we get to the other side. When we get to that very last stitch, we're going to do a picot on that end as well. Fun fact, when I learned the picot stitch, I used to call it the peacock stitch for some reason. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, if picot is the proper way of using it. But
just like before, we're going to chain 3, but we're going to slip stitch to that last slip stitch we made, not the chain. Again, I just feel like this gives you a smoother transition. And then now we're going to slip stitch on that last stitch, technically the first stitch that we didn't work on, and then slip stitch to the same stitch where we joined the tan yarn. And now we're going to fast enough, but before we do that, we're going to pre-measure our yarn, because not only are we using this tail to attach the mouth to the doll, but we're also going to use it for mouth shaping. So as you can see, I laid my mouth flat down, and I'm kind of looping my yarn around my mouth 4 times, and that should be enough to do all of that work. But yeah, before we move on, I'm going to smooth out that join right there, where the row ends and begins. So what I'm going to do first is grab my needle, and I'm going to go right underneath that V. So I'm doing an invisible join. I don't know if I'm going to do a very good job at explaining this. There's lots of videos on how to do an invisible join, but yeah, I'm going right underneath that first V, and then I'm bringing it back, and through the front I'm inserting on through that back bump and pulling it tight, and that's kind of gonna create as a V. It's just a little bit of a smoother transition there, and now I'm kind of stretching everything out. And yeah, here is our finished mouth. Look how cute. So now we're going to attach it to our doll. You can kind of pick where you want. I went like a row right underneath, and then I tried centering it as best as I could. Again, use your safety pins, and before you commit to attaching it to your doll, make sure that you're happy with it. But I have the highest part of the mouth about 1 row below each eye, and it's as centered as I can get it. Or you could put it off to the side if you kind of want him smirking. Again, it's very important on how you sew on pieces, because it's going to give them, it's going to give your project a very much different personality, I think, a little bit. But yeah. Alright, we're going to start the face shaping, and I'm going to be a little bit transparent here. I messed up the shaping the first time around. As you can kind of see, my head's a little bit deformed, and that's okay, right? I just didn't like the way that it was shaped, and it's really hard sometimes taking it apart. The reason that it looks really funky right now is because I wasn't able to completely undo some of the stitching that I had made. So yeah, after you finish your mouth, you should have a really long tail, and that's what you're going to use to shape. As you can see, because I took it apart, because I was rushing and trying to film this on the video, it didn't quite work well for me. So this is why my yarn is not attached to the mouth anymore. But as you can see, what I'm trying to do is trying to kind of shape these V's type eyebrows on top of his eyes to kind of frame his eyes, but then kind of make them pointy. Again, really take your time with the shaping, and it's not the end of the world if it didn't come out right. Taking it apart is a little bit harder, but you can always restart. Like, again, I'm trying to be 100% honest here with my video. It was a little bit hard, but obviously I don't have my yarn attached to my mouth anymore, so I'm bringing it in. So what we're gonna do, just to kind of get an idea, you're gonna poke his eyes and then push them down, and then you can there kind of squeeze it with your fingers to give him that V, and that's gonna give you an idea or where you want your starting point to be. So I pushed his eyes in, And now I'm shaping that V around his eye to kind of frame his eye a little bit better. So my starting point is going to be right next to his eye, so like the center of his eye, and then I'm gonna bring my yarn through. If you had your mouth, that's where you would bring your needle to, obviously maybe on the opposite side for you, but you can see I'm going about halfway. I mean, what the halfway point of his eye would be, pushing it in, creating that V to kind of get an idea of where I'm coming out from on the opposite side. And again, take your time. I'm not the best at explaining this part. I hope that just by visualizing what I did is gonna help, because I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, so I'm gonna go one round higher, and pushing it out on the opposite side. And then when I get to the opposite side, I'm gonna bring it back to the inside or by the eye by going one round higher. So here I went one round high, pushed it through on the opposite side, pulling tight. If you're like me and you're working, make sure you don't pull too, you want to pull tight, but make sure that you have a hold of your tail in the back so you don't lose that tail. We're gonna need it so we cannot. So I'm going up one round higher and bringing it down to the middle of the top of the eye, and then pulling back. I'm pulling tight. So now we're gonna work on the top part, or the pointy top part of our, upside down V, and I'm right in the middle of the top of the eye, and I'm gonna bring it straight across to where the top of the V is going to be. So now that we're at the top, I'm kind of pushing in to see where my downward trajectory is on the opposite side of the eye, or the downward of our upside down V. And I'm going to insert right, kind of straight across to the outer edge of the eye, but up top, so I can cinch in and make that V sharper right there. And then just like before, I'm gonna go one row down and then bring it in towards the eye. And I'm gonna cinch the middle. There's a lot of pinching going around, just so you can kind of get a trajectory of where we're going with our needle. So I'm now gonna be working in the middle part. So I went one round below and then came back up top, and now I'm here in the middle, and just kind of like one row at a time, one stitch at a time, moving it over. And now we're gonna work on our way up the eye, and it's just kind of the same process, taking your time, going really slow, definitely pinch before you commit to passing your yarn through. Over here I'm just speeding through that process, getting to the top, shaping that V part and cinching that in tight. And I have made so many of these dolls in the past year, and every single doll is unique in its own way, because I can never get them to shape exactly the same. So some of mine look happy, some of mine look a little bit angry, and I mean, I like them. I like that each one of them is unique from the opposite. But yeah, take your time. This is definitely the hardest part of this pattern, is just getting that shaping in the face. So let's get started. Next we're gonna do see, here you can see all the different oogies and how different they look from one another, just because of the shaping looking different. The one that I just showed was the first Oogie I ever made. It was an order, and of course, Tiny Bash with hot Cheeto hands touched it and stained the bottom of that Oogie. So it's forever now part of my own personal collection. But so now I'm just going to bring my tail to the back of the head, and we're going to weave it in a little bit and then double knot it a couple of times and then push it back into the head just to kind of really secure the, you know, the shaping that we did and stuff. So you should technically only have one tail. I have two because, you know, I messed up. But if you didn't mess up, you only have to worry about it once. I'm gonna have to go through this process twice. So yeah, see, I'm just pushing that knot in and then using my hook to kind of help pull the rest of that tail in. I mean, obviously, look, I was having a hard time getting that done, but it's in. Let's move on to the stitching. So with the detail work, I am using cotton yarn, and I think it's like super fine or fine #2 weight yarn, I believe, or you can use crochet thread. The reason that I like using crochet thread or the cotton in this instance is because it's just less fuzzy. So I think it looks a little bit cleaner. But if you don't have this or a way to get any, you can simply grab your worsted weight yarn and split it to where you're only using 2 plies. I think the worsted weight yarn alone might be a little bit too thick for this, so I'll show you right here. You can kind of see it's a little bit too thick. It's not going to be as fine of detail work, but you can do it, and you do you, like whatever you think looks pretty. Here I'm showing you some crochet thread. This would also work. I just couldn't find my black one, so I'm using the cotton. But the crochet thread, I just buy these skeins for detail work, and I mean they last forever because I'm not using that much of it. The crochet thread is slightly thinner than my cotton yarn, but it all works. I do like the cotton, or the, you know, I believe the crochet thread is cotton as well. I do prefer that just because when you're doing the stitching, it works better. So anyway, we're going to pre-measure this yarn. I like to set my doll down, and then I'm going to go around the whole doll 5 times, kind of very loosely here. That should be enough to get through the whole doll and the mouth. I'm going to apologize ahead of time if you can hear my dryer in the background. But yeah, so we're going to attach our yarn to the tip of the head. As you can see, I left the tails hanging, so I just kind of like the detail work. If you're more than welcome to weave them in if you don't like the danglies over there. But the stitching is very simple. It's very straightforward. There's nothing special about them. I made them about a stitch wide, and there are a round apart from one another. I made some slightly slanted. Most of them are straight. Nothing super crazy happening here, and I'm simply going to go around the silhouette of the Oogie Boogie, and I'm gonna start speeding some of the process up because you don't really have to see me do every single one of these stitches, but I'm just gonna let you watch it for a second, and I'll get back in just a few seconds to talk about the stitching around the mouth.
Clouds are stirring up the sky. I was always in denial of what I saw right in front of me. And every time I'm so damn lost to what I loved and what I lost. But let's get lost in love tonight. Hear a second voice inside my head. It's telling me to stay tonight again. And hold on to the words we always said would be forever, forever. Wait another day to clear my thoughts. So jump into a love that won't be for.
At around this point, I'm about halfway-ish, 1/3 of the way up on the other side of the head. So what I'm going to do at this point is I want to do the stitching around the mouth. So whenever I get closest to the tip, I'm just going to bring the yarn over and then start doing all the stitching around the mouth. Nothing fancy here either. You want them to be as perfectly imperfect as you can. They don't have to be pretty or anything. You can do as many stitches as you want, the least amount of stitches that you want. So yeah, once I'm done doing the mouth, I'm just gonna come back and finish off all the stitching all the way to the tip. And once I get to the tip, I'm gonna weave it in through the same hole or as close as possible, and then just do a double knot, triple knot, quadruple knot, as many knots as it makes your heart happy. And yeah, that is all, you guys. Look at it. You finished. You did it. You watched my video all the way through. You survived. Hopefully, at this point in the video, you have yourself a cute little Oogie Boogie. And I hope you liked it. I hope you loved it. I love him, but I'm biased. So yeah, let me do all the YouTube-y things where I say like to subscribe, comment, like, share if you think it's a shareable project. And yeah, till next time, I always take recommendations. Just comment down below. I don't have that many bloopers, but here is Sophia teasing me for a little bit.
What's that?
What number are you on?
17. 18. Oh my god. What are you saying?
On round 17.
You were the worst. Darn it, Sophia. I forgot my numbers.
17.
Well, I'm not in 17 anymore. Let's hope I'm in 22 because there's supposed to be 22 stitches.
22.
Stop. Go away.